Work. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Yes, we've got a little bit of an early live stream for you. Yeah, 11:21 Central Time, just outside of Chicago, 12:21 in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. It's 77 degrees there now. It's sunny, 42% chance of precipitation. We're going to get today's news out the gate here. First, we're going to have our White House rundown, as well as the latest happenings from the Iran war, some beautiful images from the reflecting pool, what happened at Madison Square Garden, and the ongoing election theft in California that we have been tracking. Good day, I'm Gary Franchi, Next News Network, Chief White House Correspondent, delivering the latest White House news in the past 24 hours. In partnership with our streaming partner, Trump Daily Post, today's White House story is a multi-front governing push. President Trump has formally moved to lock in Todd Blanche as his choice for Attorney General. House Republicans are advancing major immigration enforcement funding, and the administration is also pushing back through legal and policy fights tied to immigration, Iran, and artificial intelligence. And according to the daily guidance, the president returned to the White House overnight. Began this morning with executive time close to the press. The First Lady was scheduled for the Presidential Artificial Intelligence Challenge National Champion Award ceremony in the East Room at 11 a.m. The president has 3 closed Oval Office policy meetings this afternoon, 2:30, and 5:30 p.m. The White House press corps also tracking a possible Tom Homan gaggle this morning near the Northwest Gate. So anticipate some news on that, with the border czar spotted in the area as reporters gathered at the secondary stakeout position. Now, if that develops, it would fit squarely into the administration's broader immigration enforcement message that's happening today. And on the substance, the White House has formally sent Todd Blanche of Florida to the Senate as President Trump's nominee for Attorney General. That sets up the next major confirmation fight at the Justice Department, with the administration clearly signaling that law and order, leadership, and direct accountability at DOJ remain a top Trump priority. House Republicans are also moving a nearly $70 billion immigration enforcement package aimed at funding ICE and Border Patrol through the rest of the term of President Trump. If passed, that gives the administration long-range resources to continue its border security and deportation agenda, with far less coverage left for Democrats to delay or dilute enforcement. In a related move, the Justice Department announced denaturalization actions against 17 naturalized citizens accused of serious offenses, including, well, certain things you just can't even imagine that involve children, financial fraud, as well as an unlawful drug distribution. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said that the department will work around the clock to ensure American citizenship is reserved for those who obtained it lawfully and deserve it. The administration also took a court hit on one part of its immigration agenda after a federal judge struck down the president's $100,000 fee on new H-1B visas. The White House position is that that ruling should be reversed on appeal, creating a clear split between immigration actions moving through Congress and executive actions now being challenged in the court. On foreign policy, President Trump is projecting pressure and restraint at the same time on Iran and Israel. The White House line, as laid out in the past day's reporting, is that the president is warning against deeper escalation while telling supporters that the United States is pushing towards total victory, an outcome that blocks Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. AI policy is also back at the center of the West Wing agenda. The First Lady's East Room event underscores the administration's efforts to put innovation, cybersecurity, child safety, and national standards for AI under one stronger federal approach rather than allowing a patchwork of competing state rules. We also have, from the pool reports, the president's travel to New York. That began on Monday evening with the presidential pool that was moving ahead before President Trump. They departed Jersey around 7:02 p.m. They arrived at Wall Street landing zone 7:19. It rolled toward Madison Square Garden at 7:24 yesterday. The motorcade reached Madison Square Garden last night, 7:38 p.m., and the poolers reported mixed reactions along the route, including some anti-Trump signs and gestures, the sort of city optics that often come with any high-profile New York presidential movement. Inside the president's suite, the pool identified a notable mix of administration officials, allies, and family members, including EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino, Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, Ambassador Steve Witkoff, and Kai Trump, along with Knicks owner James Donlan, as well as others. Now, for the game, the pool reported loud boos when President Trump appeared on the Jumbotron during the national anthem, followed by cheers when the camera turned to Knicks star Jalen Brunson. And it was a visible reminder the president remains a central figure even in non-political settings. However, there was chance of USA erupting as well. So don't let the White House pool reports fool you. The pool also reported NBA Commissioner Adam Silver meeting with President Trump in the suite alongside New York Republican Bruce Blakeman. In a lighter detail, poolers noted the president with French fries and what appeared to be a Diet Coke bottle brought into the venue. Later in the night, the pool departed about 11:05 p.m. while the president remained in the suite, and the Spurs held a late lead over the Knicks. The return trip then unfolded in sequence. The motorcade rolled from MSG at 11:35 p.m. last night, arriving at the landing zone around 11:47. Marine One lifted at 11:59 for JFK. Air Force One landed at Joint Base Andrews really late, 1:28 a.m., very early this morning, and the president deplaned at 1:52. Quite a short jump. The motorcade rolled again at 1:56, returned to the White House at 2:16 a.m. Pool reporters also noted an overnight press exchange at JFK, a signed poster board for Secretary Burgum, and that the White House arrival used the north side because of UFC setup activity on the ground. The overnight travel lid was called at 2:22 a.m., closing out the president's New York trip. And one final legal and optics note from the broader White House picture: a lawsuit is trying to block the planned UFC Freedom 250 event on the South Lawn ahead of June 14th, while the White House is dismissing that challenge as obstructionist and baseless. So that's the White House rundown for the last 24 hours. President Trump is pressing forward on DOJ leadership, immigration enforcement, AI policy, and foreign policy messaging, while keeping a full closed-door schedule back at the White House after a late return from New York. And with that, we turn to the rest of the news. So quite a day for President Trump. We have got lots of news to get to. We're starting off a little early today because, well, we got to get the work done, right? I do have some events planned this afternoon that I do have to get out of the studio for, but we want to get all the news that's fit to print, as they say, right into your inboxes today. I see everyone is filing in. Thank you for joining us. We're streaming live on X at Next News, as well as Trump Daily Post, our streaming partner, and on our flagship channel on YouTube, where we have over 2 billion views since we started the channel. And we're also on Rumble and now on Kick, so you can watch us on all platforms. I apologize, my earbud is acting a little weird today. I'm not sure exactly what the problem is, but it's kind of annoying. So maybe that will help. Okay. All right, so let's get some of this news out the gate here. We're going to go ahead and talk about what's going on. The Warhawks are in panic mode right now over Iran. For weeks, the Middle East story has sounded like one more step away from war. Well, right now, that may no longer be true. President Trump is now using closing language, not bargaining language, saying the United States is in the final throes of a very, very good deal with Iran, one that could reopen the Strait of Hormuz within days. And that is the clue. That is the tell. While missiles, drones, and military incidents still flash across the screen, the Trump administration is signaling something much bigger. America may be closer to locking in its objective than the media wants to admit. The question now is simple: can the deal get signed before chaos tries to stop it? See, this is the moment that we've been tracking because the center of gravity's changed. Early on, the message was straightforward. All options were on the table. Then came negotiations. Then came word that Iran was putting real concessions on the table. Now President Trump says there are no sticking points left and a powerful agreement may be just days away. And that matters because this has never only been about rhetoric. The Trump administration set clear America First goals. Iran cannot get a nuclear weapon. Global shipping cannot be held hostage, and the Strait of Hormuz cannot remain a pressure point for the world economy. If that waterway reopens immediately after a signed deal, that is not cosmetic. That is leverage converted into results. At the same time, the region is still hot. Israel is continuing strikes. A Houthi drone was intercepted over Eilat, and a U.S. Apache went down near Hormuz, and though, thank God, both crew members were rescued safely. One misfire, one casualty, one bad calculation could still interrupt everything. Now, before we go further, pay attention to this because protecting your family from confusion and waste matters at home just as much as strength matters overseas. If you or someone in your family is on Medicare, this directly affects your wallet. Medicare is confusing by design. The mailers, the robocalls, the fine print, the commercials, it's all built to keep you overwhelmed, so you pick a plan and never review it again. That is the Medicare confusion industrial complex, and seniors are paying for it without even knowing it. Chapter is simple by design. One call, one advisor. They look at your doctors, your prescriptions, and your priorities and help you compare plans that actually fit. Some people could save as much as $1,100 a year by reviewing their coverage. Don't assume your current plan is the best plan. Call Chapter at 910-728-4109. That is the number you see on the screen. Pause the video, write that number down, give them a call, and get real help from a real human being today. Now back to the story, because what Vice President JD Vance just said makes clear the White House knows exactly what it's doing. So here's the part the corporate press will try to blur out. The Trump administration is openly drawing a line between America's interests and everybody else's. Vice President Vance responded to concerns involving Israel by saying very plainly that whatever other countries want, the United States is pursuing what's in the best interest of America. That's not weakness, that is leadership. It also tells you that this deal effort is real. It's advanced and being protected at the highest level. So when you look at the tweets, the clips, and the cross currents, keep one thing in mind. Washington is prioritizing the agreement. This news, the U.S. Apache helicopter down near the Strait of Hormuz, President Trump reacting. The U.S. Apache gunship went down Monday near the critical strait as tensions remain high in the Middle East. Let's take a look at the details.
Apache helicopter went down near the Strait of Hormuz on Monday. Now, President Trump says the crew members are doing fine, and we are still gathering more information on what took place. It's not clear if the gunship went down due to enemy fire or a mechanical issue. This does come as the ceasefire with Iran is holding again as the region braces for what comes next. President Trump spoke after attending Game 3 of the NBA Finals between the Knicks and Spurs. He indicated that negotiations toward a deal are ongoing, and we could have a better idea of where things stand in the days ahead. The president also discussed his call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after the exchange of fire over the weekend.
We had a very good conversation, and he was hit, and
So Trump says the Apache crew's safe, but the big question is what brought that bird down near Hormuz. News Nation picks up the breaking details from the White House, including Trump's claim a deal with Iran could be just days away. Those pilots were rescued after it went down near the strait. U.S. Central Command confirmed it. Trump told reporters that they are fine.
We begin with breaking news this morning. 2 U.S. crew members are safe after their helicopter crashed near the Strait of Hormuz. That is according to President Trump. He also added the U.S. has the potential to sign a peace deal with Iran in 2 or 3 days. News Nation Washington correspondent Hannah Brandt is at the White House for us with the very latest. Hannah, this is urgently developing here. Have we learned any more about what led up to the crash in the Strait this morning yet?
Marky, that's the one big thing that we don't know exactly what caused that Apache helicopter to crash. But what we do know is that these are the types of helicopters that the U.S. military has been using to enforce its blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. They've been targeting gunboats, drones, and other different targets. But President Trump says we are set to learn more details about the incident. He says there's going to be a report released today. He broke this news while he was returning from the NBA Finals in New York overnight. This all comes a day after Iran and Israel exchanged waves of strikes in what was really the fiercest fighting that we've seen since the ceasefire went into effect back in April. And for now, those two sides do say they're going to stop any further military action. President Trump even saying an idea of a deal could be coming in a few days, though he didn't elaborate further on what that looks like. Take a listen to what the president did say.
Now they both agreed through me to stop, and we're in the final throes of what will be a very, very good deal that will not allow in any way, shape, or form nuclear weapons, etc. And the Strait will open up right away. It'll open up immediately upon signing, which could be in 2 or 3 days. We have a good chance of doing it. We should be able to do it in 1 hour, if you want to know the truth.
What's the biggest sticking point right now?
I don't think there are any sticking points.
Though I would note we've repeatedly heard President Trump say we are very close to a deal for multiple weeks now. The president also telling reporters he had a good conversation with Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday, adding he doesn't blame Israel for retaliating against Iran. But it follows reporting that Israel was preparing for an even larger wave of strikes on sensitive Iranian targets. And Trump told Netanyahu he better be careful or he could be on his own very soon, Marky.
So the crash is still under investigation, but Trump is making clear he wants a deal instead of another war, saying it out loud himself, saying there's no sticking points left and the Strait of Hormuz must reopen fast. Here's more on that from Sky News.
We're in the final throes of what will be a very, very good deal that will not allow in any way, shape, or form nuclear weapons, etc. And the Strait will open up right away. It'll open up immediately upon signing, which could be in 2 or 3 days.
Did you say 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 weeks?
2 or 3 days.
You'll be signing a peace agreement?
No, we have a good chance of doing it. We should be able to do it in 1 hour, if you want to know the truth.
What's the biggest sticking point right now?
I don't think there are any sticking points. I think we're very close to having a very, very good, strong, powerful deal. If we go and bomb, which we can do very easily if we want, and we spend another 2 or 3 weeks bombing, they'll have nothing left whatsoever, but you won't have the Strait open for months. If we do the bombing, a lot of people are going to be killed. Who wants to do that? I don't. And we'll have a signed document that's actually stronger than doing the bombing. What has proven to be a very powerful thing is the blockade. The blockades turned out to be much stronger than bombing.
So you heard Trump draw the contrast, plain and simple, a signed deal or more bombing and more death. Next, Fox has the White House angle, JD Vance, saying Iran is finally putting real concessions on the table. He expects that to know where these negotiations are in a matter of days. Vance says Iranians are putting some real things on the table.
President Trump is still pushing for a deal with Iran and says we could have an idea of the potential agreement in the coming days. And it comes as Israel continues to hammer Hezbollah in Lebanon, carrying out strikes just in the last hour. Aisha Hasni is live at the White House with the latest. Hey, Aisha.
Hey, good morning to you, Brian. And when we talk about a potential deadline, that deadline could be in a number of days because the president, on his way back from the Knicks game late last night, told reporters that he'll have some sort of an idea of where these talks are going in just 1 to 2 days. Watch.
We have ongoing negotiations in Iran and with Iran, and that hasn't stopped. And we could have at least an idea by 1 or 2 days from now. We're very close to having a very, very good, strong, powerful deal. If we do the bombing, a lot of people are going to be killed. Who wants to do that? I don't. And we'll have a signed document that's actually stronger than doing the bombing.
So this morning, CENTCOM gave an update on those 2 helicopter crew members that were lost at sea. Apache crew members were told that they were rescued by American forces after their helicopter went down near the coast of Oman while patrolling regional waters. The soldiers were safely rescued within approximately 2 hours, are in stable condition. The cause of the incident still under investigation, according to CENTCOM. Meanwhile, the president is still trying to cool tensions between Iran and Israel after an exchange of fire this week. The Israelis are downplaying any friction between Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, likening it to a lover's quarrel. And it comes after Trump reportedly told Axios that he warned Netanyahu that if he went back to war with Iran, he might find himself fighting alone. Vice President JD Vance telling Jesse Waters last night that the Iranians actually do not want war. And if there is a deal, it'll be a home run for the American people.
I think the president's attitude on this is we have to verify, of course. One of the most important things to whether this ultimate settlement is a success is not what the Iranians write on the paper, but whether they actually comply with some of the requirements of the settlement that we come up to. The Iranians don't want this war to continue. It's not in their best interest. And I think they're coming to the table, putting some real things on the table. We're, of course, going to verify it. But if we get to this deal, it's going to be a home run win for the American people.
So, Brian, the president has some policy meetings on the schedule today. Nothing that's open to the press, so we aren't expecting to see him today. So keep your eyes on Truth Social if there's any news.
Keep your eyes on Truth Social and, of course, Trump Daily Posts as they monitor Trump's Truth Social posts on the regular. Vance is calling it a home run if Trump can close the deal. Even while the region stays hot, this next clip shows exactly that, with a Houthi drone intercepted over Eilat after launch from Yemen. This footage shows a successful interception. Take a look at this. Wow. Absolutely stunning visuals. That interception is a real-time reminder of how many fronts are still active in the fight, but the focus turns back to Washington, where Vance responds to reports that Israel was spying on the Pentagon. It makes clear America first comes before anyone else's agenda. This is from Jesse Waters.
So how concerned are you about Israel spying on the United States and freelancing in Lebanon?
Well, look, I think obviously the Israelis and the United States, we have a lot of shared interests, but we also have some situations where our interests diverge. And I think where the president has been very clear here is that while Israel obviously has some objectives that it has, the United States' main objective in Iran is to ensure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. And we've actually, thanks to what's happened over the last few months, but really over the last year and a half, we've created the space necessary where the president believes, and I think that he's right, that we can get the long-term settlement to Iran's nuclear deal. Now, Israel may like that, they may not like that, but fundamentally, we think this is in the best interest of the United States of America. So we're going to keep on pursuing it because that's what the President of the United States was elected to do. That's what we have to do in order to properly serve the American people.
Do you think the Iranians are trying to play us at the negotiating table?
Well, I think, Jesse, everybody's always trying to play everybody. I think the president's attitude on this is we have to verify, of course. One of the most important things to whether this ultimate settlement is a success is not what the Iranians write on the paper, but whether they actually comply with some of the requirements of the settlement that we come up to. I think it's very important, and this is one of the big differences. You always hear people talk about the Obama deal and what went wrong with it. The number one thing that went wrong with the Obama deal, Jesse, is that there was not a proper inspections regime to ensure that the Iranians could never build a nuclear weapon. And that's one of the big differences between what happened then and what the President of the United States would get to, assuming we're ultimately able to make a deal. So I don't assume that anybody's acting in good faith. Obviously, we've been very involved in these negotiations, Jesse. We're going to take the attitude of accomplish the president's mission, but verify over the long term that the Iranians are keeping their end of the bargain. It's a tall order, but it's one that the president has put us in a good position to achieve, because let's be honest, Jesse, the Iranians don't want this war to continue. It's not in their best interest. And I think they're coming to the table, putting some real things on the table. We're, of course, going to verify it. But if we get to this deal, it's going to be a home run win for the American people.
So what does it all really mean? Well, it means that President Trump may be on the verge of pulling off the outcome that the foreign policy class said could not be done, forcing Iran away from a nuclear path, keeping shipping lanes moving, and doing it from a position of strength without launching another endless war. Trump himself said that the blockade has been more powerful than bombing, and that's the key. The pressure worked, the leverage held, and now the White House is talking like the framework is finished and only execution remains. But the danger is obvious. An Apache goes down, a drone gets launched, Israel keeps hitting targets, Every hour without a signature creates another chance for escalation. The race is no longer whether a deal is possible. The race is whether the deal can be locked in before the battlefield interferes. So take a step back and look at the full picture. The old establishment answer was always the same: more chaos, more military drift, more lectures from people who never deliver results. President Trump's pursuing something very different. He's applying pressure, keeping America's objective front and center, and moving towards what could be a stronger outcome than a bombing campaign, because a signed agreement that blocks Iran's nuclear ambition and reopens Hormuz is a concrete win for American strength, American commerce, and global stability. That does not mean the danger is gone. It means the opportunity is real, and it may be closer than at any point in this entire crisis. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe that President Trump will get this deal across the finish line before another military incident tries to derail it? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments, share this report, and if you're with the America First movement, subscribe right now. But most importantly, text the words raw feed to that number you see on your screen, 844-840-4963. Thousands and thousands of patriots are already bypassing the algorithm and getting direct notifications from me when those notifications from YouTube never arrive. And since we're on the cusp of the greatest celebration in American history, 250 years of our great republic, celebrate with us by finding something at the Next News merch shelf below this video or at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Okay, that is the news on the latest from the Iran situation. And okay, so Brian, I want to get this White House report out. I know we have a conflict because I do have a 12 o'clock drop. So I'm going to have to move that 12 o'clock drop that's currently scheduled. I'm going to move that up to 1 p.m. from our last night's stream so that we don't have them competing for each other, and we can get this White House report. But make sure that you turn off the notifications on the White House report, because we don't need those notifications on. I think you had them set yesterday by accident. Okay, let's go to, let's see, the Iran deal is going to be pushed out. The Iran conversation, we're going to put that out. I changed the time on the YouTube studio for our 12 o'clock drop. Yeah. And no. I had a video from yesterday that's getting published at noon. I pushed to 1. No, correct. I'm just keeping you in the loop. Okay. And all of these are going to, all that we're doing now will be published a little bit later this evening after those videos, or because they were pre-scheduled for this morning. So I want to make sure that we have, yeah, okay, let me just get these organized for you. Okay. Just getting some structure here. Just a moment, guys. We'll get to the next one. Okay. Okay. We're going to go talk about the reflecting pool. Some reaction now out as the water is flowing. Beautiful scenes, too. We're going to present that all for you right now. What if I told you the battle over the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool is not actually about water at all? What if the fight's really about whether America is allowed to feel proud of itself again? Because that's exactly what we're watching unfold in Washington right now. President Trump helps restore a famous national symbol, Americans show up and love it, and the left's response is to complain that they miss the old algae green version. I'm serious, they like the filth better. But that bizarre reaction exposes something much bigger, and once you see it, you just can't unsee it. And the story matters because the Trump administration is doing something the ruling class has spent years trying to prevent, putting patriotism back into everyday American life. Not as a lecture, not as some dry museum plaque, not as a partisan checklist, as an experience, as something visible, fun, beautiful, and shared. And look at the pattern. The restored reflecting pool, the upgrades around the Capitol, new plans for public spaces, America 250 concerts, big national events, entertainers getting involved. This is a direct challenge to the old elite formula that treated national pride like something embarrassing, something to be managed, apologized for, or fenced off behind politics. And that's why the backlash is so intense. The left understands this perfectly well. If public spaces start looking magnificent again, if national symbols start inspiring people again, if the country starts celebrating itself again, then their whole decline narrative falls apart. The fight is over symbols, emotion, and identity. One side wants America confident, the other side wants America cynical. And that's the real contrast here. And while we're talking about recognizing value before the crowd catches on, let me tell you about our trusted partner, Noble Gold Investments. If you could go back in time and buy oil before the world relied on it, would you? Of course you would. Anyone would. So why aren't you buying silver right now? The people who recognized oil early didn't just make money, they got ahead of one of the biggest economic shifts in history. And today, a similar opportunity is unfolding with silver. Silver is more than a precious metal. It's a critical resource used in solar panels, electric vehicles, defense systems, AI infrastructure, and the massive technologies driving the future. That demand story matters. And to learn why so many Americans are paying attention, visit nextnewsgold.com right now. And when you do, you can get a 1/10 ounce gold coin with a qualifying purchase while you still can. Don't wait for hindsight to be obvious. Now back to a different kind of value restoration happening right in the heart of America's capital. See, here's the twist. The media do not want to admit the reflecting pool is working exactly as intended. Not just as infrastructure, but as a symbol. Under the former Obama-era renovation, CNN itself showed Americans reacting to a $34 million mess that looked dirty, smelled like wet dog, and turned into an algae swamp after nearly 2 years of work. And now the pool is filling out beautifully. The reflection is back. Visitors are filming it, and liberals are actually saying they prefer the old green look. That tells you the argument's no longer about maintenance, it's about meaning. So, D.C. liberals, you can see right here, complaining that they miss the old color of the reflecting pool. Unbelievable.
I would have preferred to keep it like it was.
It's an incredibly stupid idea. I'm delighted that it's still reflecting.
I think it's horrible. The color I've seen on the news is disgusting to me, as opposed to how beautiful it was in the past.
Yeah, you can see the contrast below, right? Beautiful blue versus disgusting algae-infested as it was. So D.C. liberals actually pining for the algae green pool. CNN's own reporting from 2012 shows what Obama's $34 million fix really delivered: sludge, stink, and total embarrassment. This from Trump War Room.
There's plenty to take pictures.
Sorry, here we go.
There's plenty to take pictures of in downtown Washington, D.C. The Lincoln Memorial, the World War II Memorial, and then there's this. Folks snapping photos of the reflecting pool.
It's really sludgy up this end.
And what's in it?
It's disgusting. It's not right.
Algae.
It's like, it smells like wet dog down here, you know. When my dog came home from a stream, he always smelled like this, so it's gross.
The Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool reopened at the end of August to great fanfare after a $34 million renovation that lasted nearly 2 years. But less than a month later, the famous pool of water is full of algae. Algae are simple organisms that thrive in areas where there is heat and sunlight. You have plenty of that here.
The water may not look great, but it doesn't pose a health or safety hazard. It's really just...
I mean, that was Obama's disaster. It took 2 years. So after 2 years at $34 million, the swamp got a reflecting pool that smelled like wet dog. Now watch the contrast as Z Van Fleet visits the Lincoln Memorial, shows viewers the pool looking beautiful again under Trump.
Hello, everyone. I'm at the Lincoln Memorial, looking at the Washington Memorial through the reflection pool in that beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And this is Sunday night. So many visitors. Where are you from? Texas. And everyone loves it. It's just amazing, amazing.
I was so gassed last night.
So you see the payoff: clean water, clear reflection, visitors praising the result. Next up, another American says it flat out: this may be the most beautiful reflecting pool in the world, from Rapid Response 47.
So far, it looks like the most amazing, most wonderful, and most beautiful reflection pool in the world.
Simple and short, not a one-off reaction. The praise keeps coming now. Take in the fresh aerial footage showing the Lincoln reflecting pool nearly full and reflecting better than ever. Eric Doherty writes, beautiful sight as the pool is almost full of water. President Trump was right all along. Take a look, an aerial view of the reflecting pool as it is nearly finished, with the water filling it up. So the visuals back it up. The pool restored, not neglected. Trump's not stopping there. Next, you'll hear the plan for a new promenade behind the Lincoln Memorial, connecting visitors straight to the waterfront. Check this out.
President announcing plans to build a promenade or a pedestrian bridge off the back of the Lincoln Memorial, connecting it to the waterfront.
Right now, there's no pedestrian access. You're on the mall. People come from around the world. They don't know that 100 yards away is the beautiful Potomac River, which was part of the original plan.
The promenade is the president's latest attempt to leave his mark in D.C., adding to the list of big-ticket construction projects, including the planned Triumphal Arch.
So while the media sneers, Trump's talking about making the Capitol more beautiful and more usable. Shifting gears, Vanilla Ice jumps in on the America 250 fight and torches the left for attacking the patriotic celebration. Patriot rapper Vanilla Ice, Ice Baby, went full-blown patriot mode after the Democrats attacked him for agreeing to perform at America 250.
That all the attention is coming down on all this event and everything, because I'm honored and just super proud. My mom is proud, and everybody I know is like, this is awesome. And then there's some people that, that are bailing out and all this stuff. And I'm like, why? This would be the greatest concert on the planet. We're turning 250 years. Let's celebrate the country that we're born and raised in. What's wrong with being patriotic, And they said, oh, because Trump's putting it on. I'm like, so? Who throws a better party than Trump, man? I've been to a lot of them. That guy knows how to throw a real party, and they're classy, they're great, they're fun and just over the top and amazing. So I'm like, even better. So I don't get it. I know that there's a snow globe out there, and the world is kind of shaken up on their beliefs politically and different things like that. But this isn't something that I think should be put on that kind of pedestal, especially as an entertainer. I don't think that it's fair to us to be put on some kind of political platform. We just kind of play for anybody, and it's music. It's like a DJ. You can throw it on for any wedding. If Joe Biden's getting married, you can throw it on for him. I'm sure there's fans over there on that side too. It's about coming together. It's about being American. It's about being proud of our country, no matter if the goods and the bads that you agree with or not. But it's 250 years we've gotten here, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing to have a celebration, and music is made to bring people together. So everyone's invited. This is not divided.
I love that.
So Vanilla Ice saying what millions of Americans are thinking. What's wrong with loving your country? The final shot from James Woods shows exactly why Democrats can't stand Trump's vision. A lit-up Washington monument reflecting in a Capitol that actually looks proud of itself again. Look at this beautiful image. Look at this absolutely beautiful image of the reflecting pool now. So what it all really means is that President Trump and his team are trying to turn America's 250th birthday into a cultural movement built around visible pride. That's the unifying thread: restoring the pool, clean up the monuments, make the city safer, build the promenade behind the Lincoln Memorial, host major events, bring in entertainers, make patriotism feel exciting again. Then comes the key line from Vanilla Ice, the line that gives away the whole strategy. Everyone's invited, not divided. And there it is. You don't have to be a Republican to enjoy a beautiful Capitol, a patriotic concert, or a national celebration. The Trump administration's moving love of country out of the stale world of elite approval and back into public life where ordinary Americans can see it, feel it, and join it. So, no, this is not just a story about a pool, not just a story about one performer saying yes to America 250. This is a story about whether patriotism can become normal, joyful, and public again in the United States of America. The left is furious because they know beautiful things are persuasive. A clean, reflecting pool is persuasive. A safer Washington is persuasive. A celebration where everyone is invited is persuasive. And President Trump understands that better than the consultants, better than the bureaucrats, and better than the people who spent years telling Americans to lower their expectations. And this is what winning the culture fight looks like. Restore what people can see, and you restore what people can feel. If you agree that America should celebrate its 250th birthday with confidence, beauty, and pride, share this report right now. Comment below with your answer to this yes or no question. Should patriotism be a national celebration for everyone? If you haven't already subscribed to Next News, turn on your notifications for more America First coverage. But most importantly, there are thousands and thousands of patriots who've already texted the words raw feed to 844-840-4963. We're cutting out the middleman and going direct to you. We want to make sure you get the notifications that YouTube never sends you. So we set up this number just for you. And since we're talking about the 250th celebration of our great republic, celebrate with us. Shop.nextnewsnetwork.com or the merch shelf below this video. Pick out something you like and let's celebrate together. All right, moving right along, we're going to get you some of the reporting from Madison Square Garden. President Trump was there just last night. Absolutely amazing. We've got the motorcade, we've got the security, we've got reaction from his appearance there. Such a beautiful moment, actually historic, the first time a sitting president has ever attended the NBA Finals. President Trump, a man of New York, certainly happy to return, regardless of the boos that the media is reporting on. Because, you know, he's from New York. That's his town, making a grand return. So, Brian, we can get this ready to go, and we will move into that. It was supposed to be about basketball. Instead, it became something much bigger, proof that President Donald Trump is no longer confined to the world of politics. He walked into Madison Square Garden not just as the 47th president of the United States, but as a cultural force who can still dominate sports, media, celebrity chatter, and the national mood all at once. The cheers were loud, the boos were loud too, and that's exactly the point. When Trump appears, America reacts, but the biggest tell of the night didn't come from the crowd, it came from somewhere and someone on the left who never wanted to admit it. Now let's be clear about what happened here. President Trump became the first sitting United States president ever to attend an NBA Finals game, and that alone is historic, but the real story is what that appearance revealed. The Trump administration understands something the old establishment never did. Sports, entertainment, patriotism, and national identity all belong together. And that's why this moment matters far beyond the Knicks. Outside the Garden, the security perimeter was intense with airport-style screening, Secret Service, and NYPD locking the area down. Supporters lining the streets and cheered the motorcade. Inside chants of USA rang out at Madison Square Garden. During the national anthem, the reaction was mixed. Cheers, boos, applause all at once, and Trump just smiled. Why? Because he knows what the media still refuses to accept. He's not just a president. He's still one of the most magnetic figures in American life. Even his enemies cannot stop making everything about him, and that means he is shaping culture again, not just government. Speaking of real-world results instead of media noise, this next message hit home for me in a very personal way, and you've probably seen the clip, Joe Rogan talking with Mel Gibson about people close to him who went through serious health struggles and then saw dramatic turnarounds. Joe Rogan brings up red light-based therapies working at the cellular level, and Gibson says it plainly, the stuff works, and that got my attention. In my own life, I saw something similar. My wife dealt with constant discomfort and anxiety for a long time, and it wore on all of us. Then I started looking into red light therapy and the research behind it. I also came across Jonathan Otto and what he's doing at myredlight.com. If you want to learn more, go check it out for yourself or review the countless interviews I've done with Jonathan right here on this channel. But use NNN25 for individual items or NNN30 for bundles. Sometimes the simple tools are the ones that truly help people heal. Now back to the moment at Madison Square Garden that exposed just how deep Trump's cultural reach really goes. And here's the angle the corporate media will try to bury. The most revealing clip of the night was not the anthem reaction, and it wasn't even the motorcade. It was Whoopi Goldberg, of all people, admitting on air that Trump has always been a Knicks fan and that he's a New Yorker. Think about that. For one brief second, even a longtime Trump critic had to talk about him not as a cartoon villain, but as a familiar American public figure in sports and entertainment. And that's where the story gets very interesting. Here's Rapid Response talking about President Trump becoming the first sitting president.
Tonight, President Donald Trump becomes the first sitting United States president to attend an NBA Finals game. Longtime Knicks fan
to attend an NBA Finals game, making history by showing up inside the Garden. The crowd sends an unmistakable message with chants of USA.
Please welcome the FDNY of New York and the NYPD. And now here to...
The USA chants were echoing through the arena, but when the anthem camera found Trump, New York gave him a full mix of cheers and boos, and of course, he did not flinch.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
So you saw Trump salute through the noise. Now even NBA Commissioner Adam Silver stepping in, calling Trump a real Knicks fan and saying sports should bring people together.
Trump, I've been with the league for a long time. I ran NBA Entertainment years ago. He did an I Love Kids game spot with us. He was a fixture at NBA at Madison Square Garden. You guys remember, all of you, when you played here, not Draymond, but back in the old days, he had courtside seats. He was here all the time. He was at drafts, so he's a genuine Knicks fan. And so, yes, there's some inconvenience to the fans here, but one looking around this arena, it's packed. So people listen, they came early, they got through whatever extra security, which is necessary. So, as I said, I think we should be using sports to create more of a sense of community with people, not less. We know you.
So Silver undercut the less fake outrage by reminding everyone Trump's been part of that garden since seen for years. Outside the arena, people made their own statement with huge cheers for the Trump motorcade. How cool. With his history of being in New York now. Similar visuals we saw with motorcade as President of the United States. So that tells you plenty about who still has real backing in deep blue New York. Next, we show you the security footprint at Madison Square Garden on another level. Let's continue here. You saw the lockdown around the garden before the tip-off. Now we go closer with Secret Service and police heavily armed and securing the perimeter before he arrived. Some of the scenes around Madison Square Garden, security wasn't for show. It was there for a reason. Blocks away, New York chaos broke loose as the Knicks watch party turned into a street brawl. This from Trump Daily Post. Pure chaos, they write. So after the mess in the streets, here's the part the media never wants to admit. Even on The View, Whoopi Goldberg ended up defending Trump as a lifelong Knicks fan. Yes, hell has officially frozen over. Deranged TDS victim Whoopi Goldberg defended Trump attending the finals.
Sorry. Trump and Mayor Mamdani are Knicks fans and have been. They're New Yorkers. And you can't, there's nothing either one of them can do to change what's happening in the city for this team. They can't, you know, they're there. Okay, there's a lot of, there's a lot of, you know what? I don't think anything can jinx anything. I think these guys are on a mission.
They are on a mission.
On a mission. They're like the Blues Brothers. They're on a mission from God. And they have been winning and doing everything. And, you know, you could be buck naked up in the box and ain't nobody paying attention.
Yeah.
Please do not be.
I hope that doesn't happen.
Okay, but I will say, if I were advising him, I would be like, do not go, because if they lose tonight, everyone's going to blame Trump.
The jinx.
You just cannot put that out there.
I know.
Whoopi Goldberg has to concede the obvious. You know the anti-Trump box is cracking. The next clip leans straight into the meltdown with a satire anthem getting full-blown TDS. You know, I don't know who did that, but Real America's Voice apparently. But man, that's really good. That is proper use of AI. But what does it really all mean? It means that Trump has broken out of the box his enemies try to trap him in. Most presidents stay inside Washington. Trump moves through politics, sports, pop culture, celebrity, and patriotism at the same time. That's why an NBA Finals appearance becomes national news. That's why Adam Silver felt comfortable saying Trump was a fixture at the Garden and a genuine Knicks fan. And that's why Chants of USA can erupt in the same building where critics are booing. And that's why TDS is no longer just an insult online. It's becoming a cultural label for people who can't handle Trump's presence anywhere, even at a basketball game. He doesn't just lead the country. He commands attention across American culture itself. And this is the part that drives the left absolutely crazy. They wanted President Trump isolated, boxed in, treated like he belonged only in political conflict. Instead, he keeps showing up in the places that define American life: sports arenas, entertainment spaces, national celebrations, and cultural moments that millions of ordinary people actually care about. And that's a win for Trump, a win for America first, and a win for a country that's hungry to feel united around something bigger than activist bitterness. The crowd reaction at MSG proved one thing beyond dispute: whether they cheer him or boo him, they cannot ignore him. And when even Whoopi Goldberg has to admit Trump's part of the New York sports culture, you know the wall's cracking. So I want to hear from you. Do you think President Trump's NBA Finals appearance proves he's becoming America's dominant cultural figure again? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments, share this report, and if you haven't already, subscribe to Next News for more America First coverage, but most importantly, join the thousands of patriots who are not waiting for YouTube to send notifications that never come. They're not browsing YouTube hoping that the algorithm surfaces our content. They're actually getting the news from me direct. We're cutting out the middleman. They're texting raw feed to 844-840-4963. I want you to text those words, and I want you to get the news that matters most so you can make informed decisions for yourself and your family direct from me. And let's celebrate America 250 together. We've got the new merch down in the merch shelf below, or you can check out the website shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, and let's celebrate together. Trump taking over Madison Square Garden. What a cool thing, man. It's like when he shows up at UFC fights. Like, that's like awesome. And now the UFC is going to the White House. And speaking of fights, though, we do have to go to California. The mail-in chaos continues there. Election trust completely eroded. So we're going to get to that in just a moment as we continue to move through the news of the morning. We gave you the White House briefing already, so now you know exactly what's going on at the White House today. The latest from Iran, the reflecting pool, Madison Square Garden. Now we have to go to California. So Brian, when you're ready, we'll knock this one out. Something bigger than one California race is happening right now. What started as a bizarre vote count in Los Angeles is turning into the national test case for whether Americans can trust elections in the vote-by-mail era. A Republican appears to be pushed out as late ballots keep arriving. State rules allow ballots to be counted days after Election Day. And now even access to key election systems is being locked down unless investigators clear extra hurdles. President Trump is sounding the alarm. Vice President JD Vance is calling it shady. And the real fight is now moving straight towards the Save America Act. The question is no longer just who won in California. It's whether the system deserves your trust at all. And this is why the story matters so much. The left wants to reduce every election integrity concern to a sneer and a fact-check label. But the problem now is bigger than any one candidate, one county, or one primary. California has become the symbol of what millions of Americans fear most. Ballots floating in for days, signatures barely checked, no voter ID, universal mail voting, ballot harvesting, and voter rolls so loose that critics say even people outside the country can end up in the system. That's not a recipe for confidence. That's a recipe for permanent suspicion. And every extra day, the count drags on. Democrats lose the one thing elections absolutely require: public trust. That's the real battleground here. The Trump administration has been making the same argument across the board: benefits fraud, identity fraud, immigration fraud, system abuse. Verification matters. Now that same principle is colliding head-on with election law. California is the example, but the target is national policy. That's exactly why the Save America Act is suddenly becoming the center of this fight. Now, before we go further, pay attention to this, because confusion in big systems doesn't just hit elections, it hits your wallet too. So pay attention, because if you or someone in your family is on Medicare, this directly affects your wallet. Medicare is confusing by design. The mailers, the robocalls, the fine print, the commercials, all designed to keep you overwhelmed. So you pick a plan and never look at it again. That's the Medicare confusion industrial complex, and seniors are paying for it without even knowing it. Chapter is simple by design: one call, one advisor. They look at your doctors, your prescriptions, and your priorities, then help you compare plans that actually fit. Some seniors could save as much as $1,100 a year. If you want clarity instead of chaos, call Chapter at the number on your screen. Pause the video, write it down, give them a call, 910-728-4109. And get real help from someone who actually works for you. And the same demand for clarity is exactly why this California fight is catching fire nationwide. And this is the twist that should every American paying attention. It's no longer just about what happened after Election Day. It's about what happened right before it. Critics are pointing to a California law signed just before the June primary that says limits unauthorized law enforcement access to voter rolls and a voting system without a court order or a specific state election law basis. Add that to late arriving ballots and a race reversal, and you can see why this stopped being a local story and became a national warning sign. And once people start asking what's being hidden, the entire debate changes. U.S. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, when she was still in the press room, she's of course on maternity leave, says Gavin Newsom is under criminal review for signing up illegal aliens to vote through his criminal conspiracy AB 37 universal mail-in ballots. Look at this for a moment.
Whom and why? And also, in this vein, does the White House still plan to issue an executive order banning mail-in voting, and what legal authority do you have to do that?
The White House is working on an executive order to strengthen our elections in this country and to ensure that there cannot be blatant fraud, as we've seen in California with their universal mail-in voting system. It's absolutely true that there's fraud in California's elections. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. They have a universal mail-in voting system, which we know is ripe for fraud. And if you want to deny that, I'm happy to provide you all of the evidence for it. I'd be glad to send that to you after this briefing.
Rigged.
Fraudulent ballots that are being mailed in the names of other people, in the names of illegal aliens who shouldn't be voting in American elections. There's countless examples, and we'd be happy to provide them. As for executive action the White House is taking, yes, we are looking into that. And like any executive order, of course, any executive order the president signs is within his full executive authority and within the confines of the law.
Of course, the media continues to deny that any sort of election fraud ever happens. But she said the White House has the evidence. California's system is built for fraud. Now, Melissa Bailey for Congress lays out the mechanics: no voter ID, ballot harvesting, and late ballots counted anyway. Melissa for New Hampshire.
There is no better case for passing the Save America Act than what is going on with the LA mayoral race. Democrats in California have legalized cheating, and they would love to roll it out across our entire country. No voter ID, mass mail-in ballots, ballots being accepted long after the election. This is the very recipe for corruption. Vote Melissa Bailey for Congress in New Hampshire's 1st District.
So she calls it legalized cheating. Next, the California sheriff steps up with what investigators say they found ballots tied to people outside the country, including one case linked to Pakistan. California sheriff says the elections are being rigged. Your vote in California is being stolen by illegals. They're not even hiding it.
The way the voting system is structured, we see quite a few flaws. You're able to register and cast a vote if you don't live in the country, as evident of his brother in Pakistan. And I think we have some evidence of 2 or 3 other people out of the country that voted. Is that correct?
Yeah, approximately 2 or 3 other people out of the country, as well as people residing outside of the district.
Okay. The online voter registration system, it seems to be an honor system. Anybody can put information in there to register to vote. All you have to do is click a box and say that you're not lying, and then you'll get an email from the Secretary of State or something in the mail saying, thank you for registering to vote. And there you are. Once you're on the voter rolls, anytime an election comes around, guess what? You get mailed a ballot, right? You get mailed something to vote. So we found that a little bit problematic.
Problematic is taking it lightly. The sheriff describing a system where anyone can click a box, get on the rolls, and start receiving ballots. Now Steve Hilton zeroes in on the one rule that takes the chaos further: hand-dated mail ballots that can arrive after Election Day and still count. Governor candidate Steve Hilton revealing the stunning reality of California law.
There's one thing that is just extraordinary to anyone watching, which is this mail-in ballot 7 days after the election. The argument is, well, we want maximum participation. So if someone wants to vote on Election Day, we're going to treat sending in a mail ballot the same as if you were voting. That's why we're going to give 7 days for the ballot to arrive. But there's a line in the law that says that actually the proof that you mailed your ballot on or just before Election Day, even if it arrives after Election Day, it's not just the postmark. You can write it. You can handwrite the date.
Wow.
And that counts. It's not. I was talking about this at the last elections. I had a whistleblower from the Postal Service explaining this. So just to be really clear what that means, you can backdate your ballot
by hand.
Counted by hand, and it will be counted. That's how
outrageous.
insane this system is.
I didn't even know that. That is outrageous. Oh my God. You talk about, listen, congratulations on your ground game. What you have managed to do in California is astounding, really.
Outrageous indeed. California lets ballots be backdated by hand. Next, Nick Shirley shows why people are demanding answers in the LA race with wild betting swings and fresh questions about who's allowed to look under the hood. What's happening in LA is extremely abnormal. How did Spencer Pratt go from a 77% chance of advancing to now a 0.5% chance? California is blocking the feds from checking into the election. Prior to the election, in May, Newsom signed SB 73. The law is law effective immediately before the June 2nd primary prohibits unauthorized access, disruption, modification, or seizure of voter rolls, voter lists, or certified voting technology by law enforcement, including federal agents, without a court order or specific state election law investigation. So here, this is the Polymarket odds. Look at that. Unreal. So after the questions about transparency and access, Trump cuts right to it. Says Spencer Pratt didn't lose fair and calls the LA runoff what a lot of Americans are already calling it, rigged. Not possible for Spencer Pratt to have lost the LA runoffs after a big lead he had. Third world nation, rigged elections. Now they'll be working on great guy Steve Hilton. Won't have results for possibly 2 weeks, according to officials. So Trump says it looks like a third world nation. Next, Glenn Beck explains why those late counted ballots always seem to break one way and why trust in the system is collapsing.
We are told by Californians just to be patient. This is normal. No, it's not normal. No, one thing you could say about it, it is not normal. In fact, this is a breach of trust that is, it's a little profound. It's a little profound because I think it's going to shake apart the foundations of the republic just a little bit, you know? Imagine this. On election night, votes come in. We see the will of the people, clear as day, in almost every place. But then ballots keep rolling in. Late ones, cured ones. Ballots from God only knows where, verified by signatures that a tired clerk glances at under a fluorescent light and says, yep, that's it. And suddenly the leads shift and the right people win. And it's weird. It's the right people that win every single time. I'm never surprised. The votes come in, and I'm never surprised at who wins. Are you? Wouldn't you think just playing the odds, occasionally you'd be surprised? Now, you don't need to be, a conspiracy theorist to smell the rot here. You just need eyes and a memory longer than yesterday's news cycle, which is hard for.
So he says California keeps telling voters this is normal, but the smell test says otherwise. JD Vance gets specific about the LA race, the late mail-in ballots, and the absurd ID rules that keep the machine running.
Here with this whole thing is, how is it that you had, Karen Bass was in first place, Spencer Pratt was in second place, and then this other woman was in third place? You would expect these mail-in ballots to kind of meet that same basic pattern where, number one would get the most votes, number two would get the second most votes, and so on. But somehow we find ourselves in a situation where, number one, they're still receiving ballots, not just counting ballots, Jesse, they're still receiving ballots. And number two, the way that they're coming in just so happens to work out such that the Republican is getting kicked out of the final two, so it's a Democrat versus Democrat runoff. That seems pretty shady to me, especially when you add on top of the fact that in California, you are prohibited from asking for somebody's identification before they vote.
We just found out through the U.S. attorney there that you can register to vote with a gym membership card. How ridiculous is that?
Well, and of course, we know that Gold's Gym would probably hand out a gym membership to anybody who's willing to pay, including, for example, an illegal alien. We joke about this, Jesse, but that's why these elections don't have the legitimacy they need, is because if you're going to give a card to anybody who's willing to pay $10 a month for a gym membership, then you're not actually going to ensure that person is legitimately able to vote. This is why we have, for example, photo ID to get on an airplane so that airplane rides are safe. This is why we have photo ID to purchase alcohol to ensure that you're the proper age. It's insane that we have a state not only that doesn't ask for your identification, but will throw you in jail if you're an elections official who is asking for identification. So you're the...
So JD Vance laying it out right there. So let's put the whole picture together, okay? Steve Hilton says California allows handwritten dates on late mail ballots. The sheriff says the online voter registration system runs on an honor system, vulnerable to abuse, including alleged ballots tied to people outside the country. Caroline Levitt says the White House has evidence of fraudulent ballots and is working to strengthen election security. JD Vance says the ballot flow that knocked a Republican out of the final two looks shady on its face. This is why the Save America Act is becoming the vehicle for a national election trust movement. The core argument is simple. Citizenship should be verified, identity should be verified, and results should be timely enough that the public can actually believe them. In other words, the Trump administration's broader message is now hitting elections with full force. Verification matters because trust matters. So President Trump, he was right to call this out. The left is panicking because they know the debate is moving into terrain that they hate. Proof, verification, citizenship, transparency, and timelines the public can actually understand. The old Democrat playbook was to treat every election security question like an attack on democracy, but Americans are done with being lectured while counts drag on and rules get looser and confidence gets weaker. California may be the battlefield, but the real fight is over the future rules of American elections. Do we want a system where anybody can just trust the process blindly, or a system where the process earns trust through standards that are clear, secure, and enforced? That's why the Save America Act matters, and that's why the story matters. If you believe voter ID, citizenship verification, and timely election results are just common sense, share this video. Subscribe to the channel and drop your answer below. Should Congress pass the Save America Act, yes or no? And most importantly, let's stay connected. Thousands of patriots have already texted the words raw feed to 844-840-4963. We're bypassing the middleman, cutting them out completely, going direct to you from Next News Network right to your phone, making sure you get the notifications for the news that you depend on. So make sure you take action like thousands of patriots before you. And also take action and celebrate America 250 with Next News. We've got some new merch below this video, or you can go to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, pick up something you like, and let's celebrate together. So that's our show for this morning. Well, now moving into this afternoon, let's take a real quick look at what Oh yeah, 1236 Central, 136 Eastern, 79 degrees in Washington, D.C. Partly cloudy, 33% chance of precipitation, and winds at 7 miles per hour. A beautiful day in Washington, D.C., a beautiful day in America, and I'm glad you decided to join us today for this live broadcast. It means a lot that you put your trust in us, but we couldn't do this without you. Without you, without your shares, without your comments, your likes, your thumbs up, all those things add up. Your super chats as well. We appreciate those. So we'll see you tomorrow with more news. And remember, all these videos will be posted on our X account at Next News, as well as with our streaming partner, Trump Daily Post, and on our flagship YouTube channel, and on Rumble and on Kick. But remember this. You saw it here first, before we actually publish it. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.